everybody, this is Waldorf,
This is Statler
and this is Battle Report 1.
for a playtest of the brand new Osprey Oathmark Battles of the Lost Age rules.
Correct. And of course, Orcs and Goblins.
Versus Umans.
In the Statler bunker.
Yes.
So, new game, just like I said, just came out from Osprey. We've been looking forward to this,
Yes.
waiting for this.
Waiting, and then COVID came and delayed it.
Correct.
But we finally got copies at our local friendly gaming store.
Yeah, huzzah, which, managed to get copies in for both of us.
Yes, and so we picked it up and thought we'd try a small game just to test it out before we did a review, which we'll do after this.
Right. Do an actual full rules review.
Of the rules review of the game to see.
And we may slip, and that we're definitely going to be slipping into some of that during this because some things don't make really good sense.
Yeah, we'll try. We're not going to be overly explanatory in this. We're going to kind of just go through so you get an idea of the flow of the game. But
at least we hope so.
At least we hope so. Yes.
All right. So moving on. Army lists. I played orcs. I had an orc. We decided we were going to do 2,000 point lists. I just kind of figured I'd wanted a little bit of mix of everything. So I took an orc general, a captain, an orc wizard, a goblin wizard, 2 units of spearmen, a unit of soldiers. These were originally 20 each, but then when we got
were they really spearmen?
They're orc spearmen, and I don't know why there's 19 orcs soldiers.
Yeah.
I guess they belong to the orcs. They're soldiers that belong to the orcs. But anyway, like I said, I kind of threw this together. But I did the 19. They're originally 20s each because 20 is the max size in this game. Which start the riots right now
for small based infantry units.
Well, 20 is the max size of a unit.
Yeah, that's true. But cavalry can only be 10, and
correct.
Monsters can only be 3, and they're single base units also.
But like I said, I originally had these at 20, and then come to find, wasn't paying attention. Characters have to go in units. So,
well, they don't have to, but it's stupid not to.
It's pretty dumb not to.
With the exception of mages.
With mages, yeah. So made a quick adjustment that day, and 8 orc archers, which I found out again later is a terrible idea. 3 trolls.
Not the archers, that there were only 8 of them.
There's 8 of them instead of 10 or more.
Yeah, this game seems to...
it encourages rank.
Encourages larger blocks for your archers.
Correct. Like I said, 3 trolls, unit of, it wasn't 5, I think it was 6 or 7. 6, I think it was 6 wolf riders, yeah. And a catapult.
Right.
I guess that should have been more specific, a heavy catapult.
There you go. It was a heavy as opposed to light because you have that choice.
Magic, just really quick, you pick your spells at the beginning of the game. The number, your level determines how many dice you use. Like, I'm 3rd level. So I cast using 3 dice. I can only cast 1 spell per mage. There's no counter. There's no dispelling. But
you just roll and get it.
He can roll 3 dice. The spell Horrific takes a 9. Poison Cloud, I have to roll a 9. And a Weakness, I have to roll an 8. That's not a total. Those are the numbers. So I have to, on one of those 3 dice, roll a 9 or a 10.
And the game universally uses D10s.
And it is a D10 game.
Not a D6. It's a D10 game, yeah.
So basically, I've got 3 dice trying to go for a 9 to get Horrific.
9 or 10.
Right.
All right.
So anyway, however that percentage comes out to, that's the idea. And then, of course, you get the lower guy who needs an 8 on one of those 2 dice to cast a spell, or 6 for courage. So it's a concept. I was kind of odd about it going in, but I kind of liked the way it worked.
Yeah. Just a stacking of D10s, and each race has their own magic spell list. Plus, there's a generic list. Not a huge number of spells. I didn't do a count. Maybe 10 per. I don't know.
Yeah, but
to choose from,
which is actually quite a bit because right now there's only 4 races, 5 races. Elf,
4 races.
Human, orc.
Yeah, or goblin. Yeah, that's it.
Right. Okay. So there's 4 currently, and there's plans. Oh, there's a 5th one on the way.
They're going to do some undead stuff in the future. Yeah.
Moving on.
Then there was the human army, and I just grabbed some figures I'd used recently and pulled out some old Kislev models just to use them. To the same point, I was not prepared when we were supposed to get started, so I just put my army together on the fly, and actually went pretty quickly
Yeah, it was fine.
until my only hesitation. I pointed something, I realized I didn't have something, then I had to go back and fix that, but it didn't take long at all. So I had a general on a horse. Generals can have magic items, but I didn't bother with any because one, I was in a hurry, and two, nothing excited me.
Right. I was the same boat as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So.
Took just a one wizard that was second level, mounted her on a horse. Took the Dispel, which allows you to get rid of a spell that's in play. And there's a lot of spells in this set of rules that stay in play until you dispel them, basically.
As a matter of fact, I think most of them.
Yeah. Then there was a Mud spell, which I thought would be helpful. I was hoping I would be out shooting my opponent. Didn't turn out to be the case because of magic, but it was, and I knew I'd be outnumbered. What it does is it basically sticks a 6-inch by 2-inch rough terrain in front of your opponent, so it slows them down, basically trying to get to you. I started casting it late in the game just to cast it.
Well, you started early on turn 1 too.
Well, that was effective.
Yes.
The last couple turns ones were just to do it. Then
when you think about difficult terrain in this game, think back to what, 5th, 6th edition
of old Warhammer.
Right.
A lot of historical systems. Terrain really slows you down.
Punishing.
Yeah, it really affects your tactical considerations. Unless you have I forgot what the ability was, the
Nimble.
Ranger. Nimble, yes, that allows you to move through the terrain freely. So I had 2 cavalry units, 1 of 9, and these are like medium cavalry, not the super heavy knights. Same thing. Originally I took 2 of 10, and I realized I wanted to put my general in the one, so you can't do that if it's too big. So
he replaces
yes. So that didn't seem to make sense. So I had to go back and jostle a few things around, but it was fine. So 2 units of large cavalry, 2 units of spearmen, a unit of archers, and I took 1 unit of 10 rangers just to give me a variation on the different troop types in the game, which what I was trying to do. I didn't take any monsters. Thinking back, I would have liked to. I should have taken a unit of monster of some sort just to play it out, because we didn't actually have a real monster. We had like monstrous infantry.
No, we had
like
monstrous infantry.
Yeah, because I had assumed that you'd have one, and that was something I shouldn't have done.
I was going to, but the Orcs and Goblins don't have access to the giant.
Right,
so it
right.
Kind of limited
I think
my
it's a human monster, isn't it?
It is. It's kind of the old, kind of associated with it.
Well, and they have all these Norse names or Celtic names for the various types of monsters.
Right.
I think
you also get humans also had ogres, didn't they?
Yes, I think
so you have ogres and giants, kind of reminiscent of.
Yeah, of the old Warhammer days. Warhammer. I kind of remember that, but to me, it's whatever. A lot of them have like weird names, and it's kind of like whatever. If it's on the base, I don't.
Correct.
I'm not going to be that picky.
Exactly.
If we play this.
Correct. So we got that. All right. Moving on. We decided on a simple board, 4 pieces of terrain. Well, actually, we did 6 pieces of terrain.
6 pieces of terrain.
But it was I placed this build. No, you placed the building.
You placed the field.
I placed the field.
I placed the woods. You placed the big building.
Right.
I placed the ruins. You placed a wall.
Right.
And then I placed the other wall.
And you decided to make a village out of it.
A little building, I'm sorry. Yes. I was trying to keep the terrain somewhat
simple
and so both sides were about the same.
Right.
It's an interesting mechanic because basically each side gets 3 for the size of the game, up to 3 pieces, and you pick what they are. There's no chart or anything, and you place them on the table.
And pretty much set what you want them to be. Like, this is difficult terrain. This is blah, blah, blah. You know?
Yep. There's some rules regarding terrain, but most of it's a decision point. Yeah.
Correct. All right. So that was the layout. We deployed our armies. And again, this kind of works the same thing as, 9th Age, where you drop a unit, I drop a unit, you drop.
Well, we rolled off first to pick sides, right?
Right. And whoever picks sides dropped a unit.
Dropped it. Right.
You pick sides and dropped a unit.
And then 1 or more, I think we just did.
1 or more, correct.
Yeah. And you can only deploy 8 inches off the back of the table. And this is a 4x6 standard size table.
Correct.
For this game, at least.
Okay. And you can see the troops deployed.
Yeah, so I set up, so you can't tell, but on the end is a unit of archers, 2 units of spearmen, my 9 cav with a general. There's some rangers behind the woods and the other cavalry on the flank.
Yeah, at this point in the game, you can see down here below my troops down below. The Wolf Riders off on the far right. Catapult, of course. 3 trolls. Unit of archers with a captain in them. And then spearmen, and on the far left is my soldiers.
Right.
At this point in the game, I had not gotten. I had missed the part in the rules where it's very bad to have spellcasters in units.
Yeah.
So there's a caster in each one of those units, the right and the left unit. My general's in the middle unit, but there's a spellcaster in each unit, and you'll see
Right.
those pop out in a minute as I realize how dumb that is.
It makes them much more survivable, but it limits their ability to cast magic, because it wouldn't be bad for archer units that aren't going to go anywhere.
Well, a unit can take up to 2 actions.
Right.
So technically, if you had a mage and an archer unit, you could cast a spell and then shoot.
Right. So it wouldn't be bad for that.
So
kind
it wouldn't
of
be
units,
terrible, but
if you weren't going to move forward.
Right.
But
as it is now, you can shoot and then move forward.
Right. But now bows only shoot 20 inches, so we're setting up 8 inches in. We're not even in shooting range yet.
Correct.
Except for the
We're
catapult,
a long way out.
which shoots forever. But
catapult shoots 40 actually. The heavy catapult.
Yeah.
I think the light one is 32. Was it?
I think so. Yeah.
So anyway, so my characters are in the units. You caught on to that a little quicker than I did. As you can see, your guy's not in the case.
Yeah, the mage is behind, and my general is in the unit, because fighting characters, you want them in the unit.
Right. And just to point out, that character does not fight, really.
Well, it could. You mean in the unit?
Yeah, if a character in the unit really does not do much for increasing your fighting capability, at least on a general.
Unless your unit gets small.
Unless the unit gets whittled down to a few guys.
Yeah, and it's only because combat dice are capped at 5.
Correct.
And 5 rank and file will give you 5 combat dice. So, yeah, unless there's a special ability that we haven't looked at.
Well, yeah, it's that champion rule type thing. But,
Yeah.
But it really still comes down to the fact that he's still 1 die.
Yeah. Well, the champion rule, I guess, by itself is
good
because it's a +1 wound.
If he causes
so it does give you a bonus in that. If you have the champion ability on your character, not all characters have that.
Yeah. Anyway, so and like I said, when we do a rules review, we'll get a little bit more into some of those things. So there we go. It's battle. And now I've moved my guys out.
Yes.
And, some of us prepared for this game. So, if you notice the unit cards back behind my units.
Yeah.
So I don't have to keep referencing rules.
I was very impressed that you made these cards.
Yeah.
And you made them yourself. They weren't even the early crappy ones that you sent me.
Exactly. Well, I sent you the crappy ones, and I said, "Oh, those are crappy. I need to fix these.
Yeah.
If I'm going to use them, I need to fix them."
Yes, I just shoved a piece of paper into the section of rules that had my unit stats.
Yeah.
Not that.
Which fell
frankly,
out, by the way, 3 times.
Yeah.
Just want to point that out.
But by turn 2, we kind of weren't even paying attention to the cards anymore.
Yeah. One thing this does do with this game is it is a move. I move a unit, you move a unit in general.
It is an initiative system. It's not an I go with everything you go. It's
correct.
It goes back and forth. Generally, yes.
So I found the better use for the unit cards were to be able to flip those and know which units had moved.
Right.
They recommend marking the units or whatever.
Yeah.
With markers.
I think the unit card was the way to go.
Whichever way you want to do it.
Fortunately, we didn't have so many because it was easy to remember. And then if one of us forgot, the other one usually remembered. So.
Here we have your first instance of casting a mud spell.
Yeah. So you've moved forward. I think
this is.
I won the initiative on the first turn.
You did.
And I cast a spell was the first thing I did, and then you went and you moved this unit of spearmen forward.
Correct.
And units have 2 actions. Any kind of fightiness or special is only a single action, but you can do 2 moves. But an interesting thing with a move is the second move can only be half distance.
Correct. So if your movement 6, you can go 6, and your second move is 3.
Right. Like your guys were all moved 6, or primarily 6.
Correct.
So yeah.
We're anxious to fight.
Right. So I was hoping to slow you down so I could use my archers a little bit.
Yeah, and it kind of worked.
Yeah.
Well, would have, except for Dispelled it.
And I guess
That was probably an early catapult shot.
I had moved my cavalry, I guess, earlier, and yeah, either you magicked me or there was a lot of stuff raining on me.
Yeah, I
Either
think
you
at this
magicked
point
me
I
or
was
you
trying the
catapulted
weakness
me.
spell.
Yeah.
I can't see if you've got the marker on you already.
Yeah, I don't
Because I
see
remember
it.
you had the little peasant guy
Yeah,
following you.
yeah, it was my marker to remind me. Yeah.
Yeah, because earlier I decided to do the weakness and then
Right.
decided, oh no, this other spell is really good.
Right. Right.
So there were a couple turns in at this point. I'm moving forward. You can see me trudging over the mud.
Yeah, and the other units just moved forward, and your archers have backed wheel a little bit. What else? My rangers have come forward into the woods, and my battle line has moved forward to form.
Right. You were having trouble with activation on that unit on the archer unit on the left, on our left.
Yeah, yeah,
If I recall.
yeah.
And
I failed. Basically, you don't just move your guys. You have a activation roll, which is also doubles as your morale. And before you move it, you got to roll that activation level on
2d10.
on 2d10. And if you fail, you basically can't do a full move. You get a simple action, which is a single move or a
Maneuver.
shoot or a maneuver or shoot. You can't go into combat, and if you do any kind of shooting or anything, it's also a negative modifier.
Right.
But there's ways to lose dice. There's ways to add dice to that based on what happens
Right.
to you and your characters around.
Yeah, and it's like your activation was 5.
Right.
So you got to roll 2d10. As long as one of those were 5 or better,
I was okay.
you could do your full 2 actions.
Right, and yours was 6.
Yeah, and my activation was 6, so I was 1 worse.
Mm-hmm.
But still, that's 50% of the 50% of the time because zero's a 10
Yeah, it'd be like 25. And the general
on a single die. It's 50%.
Yeah. The commander actually lets you add a die, which helps.
Yes,
So.
if you're within 6 inches of a commander, you get to add a die to that. So you're rolling 3 dice trying to get a 6 or better. For me, in my case.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like I said, I'm moving forward at this point. You were coming forward a little bit slower.
Right.
Keeping your line together.
Yes.
Which worked for you. There we go.
Because of the I go, you go back and forth, you got to be careful how your flanks develop.
Correct.
Yeah.
You move a unit, and then I come up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see those guys getting stuck behind it. And at this point, we'd gone on to turn 3.
And at this point, I've already lost 5 cavalry.
Yes, because that's when I think this was after I discovered the other spell.
Yeah.
There's one spell that's based on your activation. I roll 5 dice, and you take a wound for every die I roll that's under your activation.
Yeah. And it looks like you've moved up farther. The cavalry on the right's definitely taken the pounding, and it has that weakened spell on it by this point.
Right.
And yeah, I was having some challenges with my archers. That's why they're where they are. I was trying to draw you forward a little bit at one point and shoot you up, and it looks like your trolls have some wounds on them.
Trolls have a couple wounds,
and I've got rid of a couple of orcs here and there.
They failed their morale test and became disordered
At this point. Okay.
That's what that blue thing was on.
When I disordered, yeah.
Yeah, which is
every time you take a casualty, you have to take a morale check, and
correct.
The first time you fail, you become disordered. If you fail while being disordered, you go away. So
correct. Yeah. If you fail a morale check while you're disordered, correct. And the way to get your disordered off is just to pass an activation check.
Right.
And then your disordered comes off. Of course, you can only take a simple action at that point. So if something's disordered, you're safe to go closer because it can't activate and charge. It can't pull the disordered off and charge you. So it's just a little thing to be aware of if you're ever playing.
Yep.
So back to the other picture. This was my turn. From the picture previous, the orcs on the left decided to go in.
This is the orcs on the far left. These guys were on the left of the unit that you see behind them at the moment.
Correct.
And you kind of cinch up in these rules as best as you can.
So it's kind of a clip and slide game.
Yeah.
They recommend it. It's not a bad thing based on the rules. It's just what it is. So I charged in there because I guess I'm up 2 models on you.
Yes.
And I thought that would go well for me because orcs have a charge rule, so they're +1.
Right.
To their fight skill on their charge.
Yeah, and I wanted you to charge me because I have a bracing rule and a shielding rule.
Yeah, the brace eliminates that charge rule of mine.
Right.
But anyway, so I charged in, see what this was our first real combat.
Yep.
And charged in to see what would happen. And it didn't go well for me. So once you do the combat, if you've taken any casualties, you have to make a morale check.
Right.
Um,
Both sides have to
both
take.
sides. I failed my. Did I fail my morale check?
You
Or
did
make
not
it?
fail morale
I did
check.
not fail my
So
morale.
first you decide who won and who lost. Decide who suffered the most casualties is the loser.
Correct.
And the winning side then decides, because there's no pursuit or anything like that in the game, what they want the losing side to do.
Right.
And they can fall back between 1 and 6 inches, or you can decide that you want to fall back with your unit 1 inch.
Correct.
So in this case, I lost one guy, I think. I think you lost like 3.
I did.
And I decided I wanted you to fall back as far as possible because I wanted you to clog up the unit that was right behind them.
And in this case, what happens is when I back up 6, you told me I had to back up 6.
Yeah.
So I backed up 6, which actually pushes this other
Yes.
orc unit back further.
Because you were actually only within like 4 inches.
Correct.
And
so they end up getting pushed back to where they're still an inch. They have to stay an inch away from the unit in front of them.
right.
But they do get pushed back as well.
Right. I had thought about maybe letting you not fall back far, but one of the important things here is there's only one of the 2 units moves after the combat's done. Either the attacker falls
Correct.
back an inch, or the loser. I'm sorry, the winner falls back an inch, or the loser falls back between 1 and 6 inches.
Right.
Which means you could win a combat, but you're still sitting where you left off. So you got to be mindful of that.
Correct.
So you
And
can't just.
The thing that I couldn't really, it took me a while to get my head wrapped around is you go and you charge, even if I win that fight, I don't have, there's no option to overrun or pursue.
Right.
My option is to back up an inch or push you back.
Yeah.
And, I was looking at that and I was like, oh, he could just leave me right there and hit me in the flank with one of that other unit.
Right.
But of course that is going to expose his flank.
Right. If I do that, I might win and I might disorder you, but then I have my flank exposed to your other unit.
Right.
So you really have to. This game isn't about short-term opportunities. To me, it's about maintaining your battle lines and knowing when to
Right.
mass and attack.
You are correct.
Yeah.
I agree with you, surprisingly. So there you go. So you push me back, and that's kind of where I've been reformed. Over here on the right, you can see your knights just keep struggling to get forward.
Yeah, we decided it wasn't in the rules. We said there was not going to be any pre-measuring.
That's true.
So I declared I was going to, try to charge these wolf fighters. I thought I was within 12, but I wasn't.
Yeah, you're like 13 and a half.
So it's like, oh, well, that's what I said I was going to do.
Right.
So
they ended up right there in front of me.
Right.
So we've got that. Yep. And back to my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Back to my turn. I go ahead and elect to charge you. I've made my activation.
There's the peasant, which is the weakening marker I was using.
I like that.
Yeah.
At this point, I think I had shot you or killed one more of them with either shooting or actually the catapult shot you and killed one more before the wolf riders went in. And that's the thing about like you were saying, the activation, you go, I go. I elected to shoot with my catapult first.
Right.
Killed one of your guys, and then on my next activation, charged you.
Yeah.
So
that was the rule about catapults shooting behind and sideways.
Correct.
That we need to look into.
Which we kind of found out. It just should have been a -1.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's all we determined.
Well, it was a question of intent versus what was written.
Intent versus
rules is written. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, catapults have a weird rule of indirect fire, which says they don't have to be. They don't have to see the unit they're shooting at as long as someone else can see it.
Right.
Which means that this catapult can actually shoot backwards.
Yeah.
If it wants to.
Yeah.
Catapult should be on a square base in this game.
Probably doesn't matter.
Everything in this game also is a multiple of 25s.
Yes.
Which makes units line up nice and neat. But anyway.
And he basically recommends if your base sizes are a little different, that you make movement trays. Right. Which I think probably works to play with round base guys if you wanted to.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got that. Wolf Riders won the fight. I pushed you back 6.
So you killed. Oh, it was two guys.
Killed 2 guys.
Yeah, I thought it was only 1. So you killed 2 guys. I guess I passed my morale check, so I didn't go to disorder.
Actually, I think at this point you did go to disordered. You just didn't mark it.
Oh, okay.
Because remember you couldn't charge me for a couple of
minutes. Yes. and then and you pushed me back the maximum 6 inches, and looks like you didn't lose anybody.
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't. Anyway,
Well,
Cav in this game are really powerful charging.
yeah, wolf riders in this game aren't like wolf riders. They're not
No.
like crappy guys. They're kind of like Lord of the Rings
I'm,
wolf riders.
I'm slightly worse than your medium Cav.
Right.
You have one better armor
Yeah.
and a better fight skill
Yeah.
on me, and that's it.
Well, which is more than it sounds like, but
Correct.
But yes,
Yes.
I wasn't infinitely better like in a lot of games.
Yeah, it's not like my Wolf Riders against Heavy Cav, like Empire Cav in a typical game.
Right.
Just so you'll have that. So my trolls.
I charged you in this
You
case.
charged me in the trolls. You killed 2 more.
Because you were disordered, and it's like, okay, I have an opportunity.
Right. Actually, I got the disordered off.
Did you?
Yes, I'd gotten the disorder off, but I couldn't do much. I got the disordered off, and I think I moved back or forward a little bit.
I'd forgotten that. Okay.
And then you charged me.
Yeah.
And smashed 2 of them.
Oh, I didn't want you charging my cavalry with your trolls because because of the cavalry has this charge rule where they get additional pluses to hit, and these guys have like a +3.
The troll does as well. So
Yeah.
you're better charging him than getting charged.
Yeah, cavalry's much better charging than it is not charging in this game.
And of course, you pushed me back again. I don't have it, but you had disordered me again.
Yeah, I was trying to decide how far to push you back, and I was hoping it would mess with your unit.
Right, and you'd push me back to there.
Right.
Came forward. You can see your other unit coming forward to support you a little bit.
Yes.
One right beside it, and
that was afterwards. Yeah.
And we're going to go to turn
4. And I had been winning the initiative up until this point.
Correct. I think you'd won on all 3 of the previous turns.
But then the tides turned.
Then it was my turn to win initiative.
Yep.
So the orcs that you saw there charge into the flank of
right.
Now this is supposed to be pretty bad because you getting charged in the flank is really bad in this game. Well, not really bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
It basically means you're only fighting with 2 guys.
Right. Usually, you're fighting with how many ever guys, depending how deep your unit is.
In this case, yeah, it was 2.
I had 2. And it's not really bad, but you definitely should lose the fight most of the time. And
now the one thing to remember in this though is I did this charge, but looking at this now, it's like even if I win this, my options after I win are to push you back away from me 1 to 6 inches, or for myself to back up 1 inch.
Yep.
Well, even if I win this, I've just given that unit up top of me a full flank charge into me, because I can't kill you and reform.
Right.
So this is the concept I was kind of missing.
Yes.
I would have been better served to charge the unit behind you.
And I was just counting on because the cavalry tends to have really high defense numbers.
Correct.
So they are difficult to kill.
Right. But anyway, so I charge you in the flank.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know really what that was.
We may just not have marked all the casualties. I think we both suffered 1 or...
We each did 2.
Did 2, yeah.
Yeah, we did two casualties apiece. I actually failed my morale because I rolled bad, and you passed, but only backed it in.
I think I forgot what the tiebreaker. It was a tiebreaker, and I won the tiebreaker, and I forgot how that worked.
Was there a tiebreaker?
Yeah. Or you didn't win. There's a way to tiebreak. I don't remember what it was because we both caused 2 casualties.
Right.
So there was no winner or loser.
That's true. That's a good point.
There was something on the tiebreaker. So I made you fall back, I think. Or did... No, I fell back.
You moved and the other unit
I fell back. Now after going back, I wonder if I was supposed to turn that to face you. I think I may have moved him wrong. And then on my turn, I then charged with my spearmen into the flank of your guys.
Yeah.
And you failed your morale check, which just made you be disordered.
Correct. And if you're disordered, you don't fight as well. And if you lose a fight while you're disordered, you take a morale check, and you're already disordered, you disappear.
Yes,
which is the way that units disappear.
Right.
As you can see in this picture.
Right. So I vaporize that. Now, an interesting thing, too, is your line of sight is determined from your champion, which every unit has, which is the guy in the center.
Correct.
So you have a relatively, compared to a lot of games,
the front rank.
Yeah, center of the front rank, restricted field of visibility to do things.
Correct.
Which is something you have to get used to also.
Yeah.
But you can play that well, but it's important to keep your flanks covered.
There's another interesting point in this fight is Knights fought around a combat, got pushed back. They still have not taken their action at this point.
Right.
So they have not gone this turn.
Right.
So, which is interesting because
Yeah.
they're still free to do what they
Right.
want to do. For whatever reason, I was thinking they were going to get tied up.
Yeah, but they were at a disadvantage.
Right. And you can see you've lost a couple here to a spell.
Yeah.
Or the catapult, one of the two, because those were just punishing you the whole
Yeah,
game.
you decided to mass all your fire on these guys, I think, this turn. They went from being healthy to not so healthy in one turn.
And over here, you've cast that mud spell over here on the right, and my Wolf Riders have finally waded their way through it. The one here on the
left... I cast it, and then you went. I cast it, then you went, and you couldn't, because you wanted to charge me again.
Correct, I couldn't get
And I think I may have backed up also with my cavalry.
You did.
Yeah.
You took you knocked your disorder off and managed to back up.
Yeah.
3 or whatever.
Half speed, right? Which would be 4 inches. Yeah.
And I took all my move to wander through that stupid mud.
Right.
The mud over here on the left that used to be in front of the archers, I had dispelled at some point during the game with my dispel thing. And you had tried to get rid of your weakness on your 2.
Yeah, it was. But I found out level 2 guys aren't good getting the spell off when it needs an 8 to.
Yeah,
when you only have 2 dice. Yeah.
But anyway,
I still tried it like 3 times during the game. But
so I moved forward over here, and
looks like that's my Rangers can come forward to try to shoot down your Wolf Riders.
Yeah, before they charge.
I may have gotten one with that.
You did. There's one in the back missing at this point.
What else is going on here? And then my archers shot up. I think a couple more wounds on that.
On that forward unit.
That forward unit.
And they had that.
And you've catapulted me and magicked my big cavalry unit, and I think I charged your troll and I killed it.
You killed the troll. It was disordered and you hit it and it failed. And
I think I just killed it with wounds,
I don't think it had to roll. Correct. Another interesting thing about this game is your number of attacks, like this cav unit over here on the right of your cav unit. Your number of attacks is determined by your models in the front rank for the most part.
Times the attacks per models.
So. Correct. Up to a maximum of 5.
Right.
So even though you're not all touching the troll, you still get your 5. Right. 5 attacks. You don't have to all be touching.
Yeah, there's no ranking thing. It's just you're in contact. Everybody fights.
There's no, guy fighting a guy and everyone else standing around watching in this one to kind of. Although you could claim that the back ranks are doing that, but the back ranks provide additional hitting power.
Right.
More than anything else in this. Anyway, so there you go. There's that. You see my trolls.
I think I came up with my archers before shooting at your guys.
I think so. Over here, what's happened here? The archers have come forward. Oh, I think I failed my activation with the Wolf Riders.
And I think I failed.
And they couldn't charge, so they just moved forward.
And I failed mine.
Correct. We were trading failures.
Yeah, so I just did a simple action and did a pivot to redirect you a little bit to slow you down coming around.
And yeah, that unit up front of mine is just getting chewed up. At this point, your knights have backed up a bit.
Yep. And taking another casualty from magic or catapulting. Who knows? Stuff was coming from the skies in large amounts.
The catapult was firing at your knights every turn.
Yep.
Until near the end of the game.
Yep.
Simply because it's got a strength of 4. It was wounding you on 8.
Yep.
You could do much more against the troops, but
plus that damn
it's one of the only thing to hurt the
toxic smell with spells.
The toxic poison cloud was ripping you apart.
It was not nice. So I've moved kind of forward just to get onto the flank of this orc unit while trying to shoot it down a little bit.
Yeah, and that orc unit's just dead at this point.
Because now it's in the way for me to get, because I need to get forward because I'm losing points with all these cavalry because they're very expensive.
That's true too. And we did play a battle line, which is just a casualty game.
Yes, and it's based on total points after 8 turns.
Not units, which another concept I messed up later.
So turn 5. Look at all my nice Kislev Knights dying. I really got to repaint those shields.
So there you go. You just decided to get rid of this unit finally.
Yes.
I had double this 2 as a representation. I have 2 instances of the courage spell on me, so I ignore the first 2 wounds when I take I get +2 to my morale.
And it made a difference too because I shot at him a few times with archers.
Right.
I thought I'd get rid of him. Like he just was not going to leave.
Right. And so he came and charged me, and
finally finished the guys off.
Yeah. Yeah, you had managed to disorder me with your archers,
Yeah.
and then this unit hit me in the side and crushed me.
Yep.
Um,
Well, the morale's pretty simple. You basically have your base number, and it's -1 for every casualty. So,
yes.
yeah, there's some other modifiers that give you advantages.
Over
but yeah.
here, I think I've charged you again and did a wound, and you backed you up an inch. And then the next turn, you're gonna.
Could be. Yeah, I think so.
Is what I think happened there.
Yeah.
This time, my mage gets off and does really well with the poison. Got 3 out of 4.
Yep.
3 of got your unit basically. That's
Yep.
your general.
That's just a general left saying, "Hey, where's all my boys?"
I had friends.
Yeah.
And then my catapult fired, and this time I fired the catapult at the unit,
At the Rangers
the
in the
Rangers,
woods.
and punished
Woods
them fairly.
didn't help them enough. Yeah, he killed
actually Woods.
4 of them.
Turns out Woods doesn't help.
Oh,
you
that's
from
right. Yeah,
catapults, but
right.
Good for archery, but not for catapults.
Yep.
So I killed a bunch of them because I was really getting tired of my wolf riders getting
Yep.
shot down and making me take morale.
But the general was there to help them with the morale, so they were okay. Then I decided, well, you're going to charge me. Let me in your next move, so I'll just go ahead and charge. Maybe I'll kill.
He who charges is better,
because
especially with calves.
Yeah, well, mine, especially the human cavalry. So, at least I'll get somebody before I go, but it didn't work out so well.
Yeah, you charged into me and crushed me. I think I took an inch move forward.
Yes.
Not much, much you can do.
Yeah, you killed my guy easily, and I didn't kill anybody.
Actually, I couldn't even do that. I think you
either
just stay or back up, and I think I just stayed.
Yeah.
Turn 6. Maybe turn 6 again.
Yep.
You decided to put a chunk of mud in front of me again, which was another irritation. But at this point, I had not planned on going forward.
I knew you weren't going to.
I've got 1 unit against your 3, and that's not going to work out for me. There's no way I could keep you all 3 in my front.
And I just was that or dispel. It was like, okay, I'll just throw some mud on somebody. I probably should have shut it on the wolf riders, but you zapped my my rangers more. They're down to 3.
I did, yes.
Yeah.
I think the archers started taking off casualties.
They were shooting at them, and you were using this turn. We'll see later. But yeah.
Yeah, this turn
you were magic and catapult. Now I'm down to 2.
Yeah. Yes, and then your
general, I think that was the archers.
Your general decided to head down there to deal with my catapult or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to move forward, and then I changed my mind because I forgot you had a champion, and then I remember looking at your unit. That big green guy's a champion.
Yes.
And a champion does a +1 wound. It's like, oh, if he hits me, he kills my general. So that's not a good place to be. So I decided I'll come around the back and at least try to redirect some fire, and maybe you'll turn somebody to face him.
Yeah. So,
now I got 1 guy in the woods. and your wolf riders have come up.
He's getting lonely back there. So you see my archers now.
And my guys, and I was having some bad luck too because I was failing my rolls. So I was only getting simple moves.
Correct. I don't think you would plan to come forward anyway, did you?
No, I did. That was the plan.
Okay.
But I kept failing with the guy in the middle. Remember, kept failing.
Correct.
And then the archers failed a couple times also, which meant I can either move forward or I can shoot. And I decided to shoot.
Right. Move forward or shoot with a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, I poison clouded off your general as well.
Yes. Because I knew time was running out.
Right.
And I knew I was down in points.
Because we did an 8. It was going to be an 8-turn game as the battle line.
Yep.
And that's where it starts going into turn 8. I think I won the initiative again.
You did. I don't think I won it after the first 3 turns.
The Wolf Riders went in and finished off the Rangers.
They did. Ranger. There's only 1 left. Yeah.
And my other 2 units.
And they were shooting at your Wolf Riders.
Archery is doing fairly good against this big unit of spearmen.
Yeah. Not against your Wolf Riders, but it was shooting. It was chewing these guys.
And it was, again, it's my fault partially because not getting a full enough understanding of the rules. When you're firing the archery, you've got a low archery skill. It's compared against what we would consider toughness, my defense.
Right.
And you are you get a bonus to that for each complete rank you have shooting at me. And had I thought earlier, I would have hit you with something and at least knock 1 guy off, which takes away a -1, which is a major deal in this game.
It is. And you had decided at this point you were going to back up.
Yeah, like I said, I couldn't fight you 3-on-1.
Yeah.
Especially even when I had a full unit, and now you've already reduced me.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, this is done.
At this point, I'm just trying to get leadership. You kept passing your leadership rolls, but your general's there.
My
so,
general's there, so I'm rolling on 3 dice.
You know.
Only one of them has to be a 6 or better.
Yep.
So I've got a 50-50 shot on 3 dice.
Yep.
And he's also boosting. I've been trying to keep the 2 mages within
Yep.
6 inches of him as well at the end of their turns.
Yep.
So they can benefit from that extra die.
And I think this turn, bow spearmen failed their roll.
So you come moving forward. At this point, you stopped taking casualties off and started using dice.
Yeah, and I decided I couldn't get to you, so this was just kind of doing stuff to do stuff.
Just looking like it's part of the...
Yeah, because then you started concentrating all your shooting at my 2...
well, I started pegging
my archers and my spearmen, because I got casualties on everybody now.
Well, one of the issues with my archers were one of the rules in this game, of course, is unless you have a special rule, you have to shoot at the nearest unit.
Right.
So my archers over here on the right have to shoot at those spearmen in the front.
Yep.
I would much rather have been shooting at your archers, bringing those down, but
but you couldn't.
Can't do it.
And I had the same issue because I really wanted to shoot at your mages.
Correct.
Because they're tearing me up, but you had that command group, so I had to shoot at it.
Right. Yeah, I'm closer.
Yeah.
And that was going to be, we do have a turn 8. Turn 8, yeah, you can just see you're up to 7 casualties on your archer unit over on the left, and it's up to 6 on the one on the right.
Right.
I didn't bother to move my wolf riders because there's not, it's turn 8, they can't get to you.
Right.
Because again, the woods are a punishing movement.
Yeah.
You can see you brought me down by a couple more models down here in the spear block.
Yep.
I'm not quite sure you're within 20. I think you were cheating me. Anyway, we measured.
We measured
it. So, and I think that's about where it ends. And yeah, there's your models.
Yeah, so 6 on the 1 unit. I've lost 4 on the one in the middle, and then 7 on the archers.
Right. And there's the remains of my guys, pretty much where they were. No big deal. So we add up the points, and you had done 930 to me, and I did 1499 to you.
Right.
Giving me a 569 point
win.
I
think my 2 cavalry units almost equal the points for your entire army.
855.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's a lot of points for those guys.
Yeah, they're pricey.
Yeah. So anyway, that was the...
And yeah, at first it seems hard. It's like, because you actually do it by model, you don't do it by unit.
Correct.
So it doesn't matter. You don't have some of the gamey stuff you see sometimes when it's by, if I can just get them below 25%, you don't worry about any of that. It's just, I just need to kill guys. And I thought it would be hard to figure out, but it actually turned out pretty easy.
It's like, pretty easy.
I had 18 spearmen from 4 different, it doesnment matter. I had 18 spearmen and it was times 16 or whatever it was.
Whatever they cost a piece, and you're done.
Yeah, we were pretty quick.
Yeah, the other thing, and this part of the 9th age thinking in me, the Wolf Riders went after that remaining ranger in the woods instead of going at one of the units, which they might have been able to fight. But me thinking, I need to eliminate a unit.
Right.
It's like, no, you don't. It's just the one guy.
Yeah, and that's why I kept him there. It was just like, maybe I'll charge him.
I fell for that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's again, cleaning up single models to finish up a unit really doesn't matter. At least not in the
case of the unit. I guess it helps with initiative and that type of thing, but
it gives you one less maneuver element.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
So anyway, a fairly solid win for a first time.
Yeah, so that was our first play test.
Trying something. Now you did spend a ton of money on heavy cav, and they got the unit on the far right got really abused.
Yeah, they both got abused.
I think if you, again, just looking back, I think if you were going to do that same scenario, pushing with both, rather, because the unit in the middle didn't come forward very far.
It didn't. Well, I was worried about.
And I think you were a little more character. You were a little more worried about the character in this archer unit than you should have been. I think maybe if that's.
I wasn't worried about it until you shot my entire unit. Right. That's what kind of happened. I wasn't expecting things to go so badly for the flanking cavalry.
Right.
Because the idea was he was going to come forward and hopefully win that fight against your wolf riders, and then turn in it as my army was being assaulted by your army.
Now I will say,
and then you clogged me because I couldn't get rid of the stupid unit up front, and it was clogging me up.
Right.
And I was afraid to put the cavalry out there by himself because you still had all those guys there, and you were just going to hit him in the
Double
flank
team
and
him, yeah.
do bad things. So
Yeah, well, no, not necessarily.
it didn't. So it played out differently than
It
I
did.
expected in a number of ways, just because.
I was very disappointed in the performance of the trolls. They have a special rule called horrific. If you take a morale check from fighting trolls, you're at -1 die. So you're using 1 die less to meet your morale.
Yeah, which is a big deal.
Can be a huge thing. In this case, it wouldn't have been horrible because you did have
the general
your
was
general
there. Yeah.
So instead of rolling 3 dice, you're rolling 2. But if the general's not there, you're rolling 1 die to get a chance to roll above your morale with the modifier.
If your orcs, goblins, or humans and you get hit by that, you're not having. It's a high probability of failure.
Right. But I was very disappointed in the fact that out of 2 rounds of combat or 2 fights, it didn't cause a single wound. So you didn't even have to take a morale check.
Yeah, yeah.
You probably would have passed with 2 dice, needing a 5 on one of them. But
yeah.
But the fact that you
were already weakened, and I had somebody that could fight pretty well, so that those things all helped.
But anyway, I was disappointed in my ability not to do a wound.
There you go. Yeah,
because I did have 5 dice.
That's how I felt about my cavalry on the flank.
And the cavalry on the flank, just they're not good. No, I'm just kidding. They're good.
So we tried, like I said, a little bit of everything, and we're just missing the bigger monster. I don't think.
Yeah,
we will learn too much more from it because the mechanics are straightforward.
Yeah, the mechanics are very simple and straightforward.
Yeah.
It's some of the things I thought would bother me a lot about this game did not.
Yeah.
As much as I thought. You're capped at 5 dice for a combat, no matter how many guys you have.
Yep.
You're not going to be rolling more than 5 dice in a combat.
Yep.
Which I thought was awful.
And quite often we weren't rolling that many because of other things going on.
But there turns out it's not that bad. It works. I need to get used to. It's a very different game than Ninth Age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you can move forward, hit something, smash it, chase it, and get through a battle line.
Yeah.
You cannot do that in this.
Well, some of it depends on your initiative and other things. You can do it, but in other ways. You can't do it with single units.
Right. One single unit's going to hit something. Even if you shatter it, you're there.
Right.
You're not reforming. You're not.
Yep.
You're not overrunning or anything like that. So you've got to be careful when you hit when you go into a combat. That's where you're going to be after the combat's over.
Right.
It's where you hit them.
Yep.
You're not going anywhere after that, and you're not facing any other direction. So battle lines are extremely critical in this game.
Yeah, it's got more of a historical ancients feel to it with the fantastical beasts and magic than Ninth Age does. Mm. You don't have the hero effect in this game that you do.
Correct, and the heroes are there for their leadership in this game and their command ability more than anything else, except for mages, of course.
Yeah,
mages are different. Mages, from what I saw, are a major contributor to a game.
Yes, most definitely. But it's all support kind of stuff. It's not. You're not going to wipe out one unit with a mage, unless it's down
over
to
the course of a few turns. Yes.
Yeah, over time you might, but just with the single caster, you're not going to.
And,
yeah.
And again, the spell I had with the poison cloud just happened to be very good against knights.
Yep.
Because it ignores your
high defense,
toughness, whatever you want to call that. And it's different as well. Is when I roll, I'm rolling one roll to wound you, to hit, wound. That's all in one die roll.
Well, you get so many dice, and you're just rolling for effect.
Correct.
Everything is rolling for effect.
Rolling for effect.
It's a combined to hit and to wound type of thing. There's no saves. It's just I'm rolling these d10s, and whatever I get is what happens. Whether it's melee, whether it's shooting, whether it's whatever it is.
Yeah. Correct. Your defense is my target number to try to beat to wound you.
Right.
So it's no
minus
I don't
your
roll.
Value.
You don't roll your saves. There's none of that.
Yeah.
And the other disappointing thing is trolls don't have regenerate in this game.
Yes.
Other monsters do, not trolls. So I was very disappointed with that. Wouldn't have mattered, just would have given you more wounds to kill later.
Yeah, so I think your men of the match were your mage and your catapult.
Correct. They just did a ton of work.
They basically wrecked my army all by themselves.
They did.
Over time.
And the Wolf Riders, when they fight in numbers, when they outnumber you 3-1, they're actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Actually, the Wolf Rider. I'm joking with the Wolf Riders. The Wolf Riders are actually
they're pretty good.
they're medium cav in this game.
Yeah, yeah,
They can beat stuff up.
yeah.
They're they're one pip less on defense, which is a big thing, but they're only one pip less on defense than your knights, and their offense is
One less also.
one less, but you also have a charge bonus that's one better too.
Yeah,
So I mean, there's a few pips of difference,
yeah.
but mine are much cheaper.
Yes, yes.
So, and the act one of the big things about this, if you take a look at this yourselves, is the armies. The activation is what drives your army.
Definitely drives the point cost of things. Because elves have the best activation, and boy, are they expensive.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like I said, there's so far in this, they've got elves, which are base 3 activation.
They're I'd say the most elite army
They're
in the game.
elite. The next one are dwarves, which have a 4 activation. Humans are 5, and orcs are 6.
Orcs and goblins are 6. And there's some. Each army has some special, like militia or crappy units that might be worse. And the army lists aren't, and we'll talk about that later, aren't vast. Each army only has maybe a dozen entries. Or orcs and goblins, I guess, have more than all the other ones.
Yeah,
just because there's orcs and goblins. But then there's some generic monsters and stuff like that.
Yeah, like a dragon is a generic monster any army can use.
Yeah, but I said it played fun. I think we both had a good time, and it was it's not complex by any. The mechanics are not complex.
Correct. The strategies will be.
But your strategy, your decision points, and what order you move things, and when you do things, and that's where the game is.
Yeah, and when we get in, we'll talk a little bit more about that. When we talk about actually do a full rules review on this. We did a battle report not knowing that we were going to enjoy it, or
we tend not
how
to
far we were going to go.
We tend not to do reviews of things we don't like.
Correct.
Or at least feel mediocre about. Yeah.
Right. Unless it's Infernal Dwarves.
We're just we're not as mean as people think we are.
Unless it's Infernal Dwarves.
Unless we see you to your face. Yeah. Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, we make exceptions there. Things we don't like, we do talk about in that case. No, just kidding.
I said rule. I was specific to rules reviews.
Rules reviews. Yeah. Okay, fine. Not army reviews.
No.
Okay. But anyway, so there you have it. Let us know if you like this. If you want to see about other games. We're probably going to play at least one or two more games of this.
Yeah.
If you're interested, we'll post the thing up.
Yep.
And we'll definitely post a rules review up.
Yes,
once we get around to doing that.
Right.
But we're lazy, so we haven't done that yet. But anyway, thanks for listening.
Till next time.